Hello, and welcome to the Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and the Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who've had an association with the Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area. Kosh listeners, how are you doing? Hey, thank you for joining us again. I'm glad to be back here with you. It's another weekend morning. Once again, let me give you my normal report of the day. What is up with these 40-degree days? Now, it sounds like I'm complaining about them, but I'm really not, right? I'm not complaining at all. I actually love the hell out of these 40-degree days. The only thing that it is it feels like a trick. It feels like, okay, this is beautiful. I'm loving these 40-degree days. Winter ain't kicked in. Ain't no snow. We real close to Christmas here too, right? And then I just feel like all of a sudden I'm in my zone. I'm wearing Columbia little fleece Columbias and vests, and then all of a sudden polar vortex is gonna come.
It's gonna hit us.
It's going 1-2-1-2, right? And then so look. But I'm going to take it while we got it. So today is one of those days. It's a gorgeous day out. So, all right, Kosh listeners, you know, I hope you know what I'm going to say. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Well, I do not know why. I don't know why I keep getting these amazing, amazing guests. And this week is no different. I'm actually super excited about this week's guest. There's some conversations I've been able to have with this individual, and like they're fire. And I want to introduce him to the Kosh audience because, hey, unlike usual, we usually get people who have been in the Kosh for a minute, but today we're gonna get a newcomer's set of eyes to the Kosh. So super, super excited about that. So without further ado, this week's guest is Dr. Sam Coleman.
Hello. How's it going, everyone?
What's going on, Sam?
All is well. All is well.
All right. Now, I'm going to tell you, Sam came in here ready to go. Like, he wasn't playing.
Always ready to go.
Is that what's up?
Always.
See, I can't say that, but I do try to prep my morning with highly caffeinated tea. That's how I get ready.
That's how you get ready?
That's how I get ready.
I'm doing the caffeinated Crystal Light packets.
Oh.
So I somebody put me on to those about a month ago. And so I usually do the tea, but when I'm moving, I just throw the caffeinated Crystal Light, mix in a bottle of water.
That's what's going on.
Yeah. So
my wife was on those for a minute, but I think she's moved on. She's moved on to this drink called Celsius.
I am not up on the Celsius yet.
Not up on the now the Celsius is supposedly it's a different kind of power drink, right? It's a power drink with all these vitamins, but it's supposed to have the equivalency of 2 cups of coffee. Now, I'm not going to lie. I done messed with the Celsius. The Celsius, there was one day I woke up late and I was like, I don't got time to monkey around, make my tea, do the things I normally do in the morning.
Right.
So I grabbed the quick Celsius. I took it, I did the Celsius on my drive into the gig, and it was fantastic.
Was it? You know what else? I haven't had this today, but what I normally do during the week is there's a mocha, like a coffee mocha protein drink.
Oh,
and so you can catch 2 birds with one hand with this drink. You get your protein, and then you get your caffeine. And so I've been doing those, I would say, for about the last 6 months. And if you got to catch them when they're on sale because they can get a little pricey. But yeah, it's the caffeine protein drinks, and it's been a game changer for me.
Yeah, but okay. So if you're doing protein, you working out?
Oh yeah, you can't tell.
Look. There's some people that you work with, and them dudes is swole.
Yeah.
And then they done changed their whole life. So, I don't know. I don't know if you're at the beginning of the workout journey or the end of the workout journey.
Let's just say I've gotten motivated because, like you said, we have a very fit team that I work with, and everybody has a workout routine that works for them. But it definitely motivated me to be more consistent.
Okay, that's what's up. I'm feeling that. All right, Sam, can you please tell us about yourself and your association with the Kosh?
Absolutely. So I serve as the Assistant Superintendent of Instruction for the Oshkosh Area School District. I recently came to the Oshkosh community about 5 months ago in July. So it's been a fast and furious summer. Summer flew by. There was so much to learn and to just discover about Oshkosh, and I'm still in that process. But the intro to my time here in the city has been amazing. I absolutely love the school district and all of the staff that make up the amazing team that provides high quality education to all of our students and support to their families. And so it has been absolutely amazing. I'm also a part of this organization or this group called Leadership Oshkosh. And Leadership Oshkosh has been an amazing way for me to connect with other public servants and people in the nonprofit public service sector of Oshkosh. And so that has also been a really powerful way for me to connect very quickly. But I know I have so much more to learn. So it's been great, though.
You kicking it with Trina.
Oh, yeah. Trina is amazing. I'll tell her she's one of the greatest things about Oshkosh.
Oh, facts. Facts. You know, Trina got an episode. She an alum.
She's an alum? Okay. I have to check her episode out.
Oh, yeah. Trina go hard. Matter of fact, I just saw Trina. Trina came to my birthday party. She's very kind.
Okay.
She kicked it.
So I haven't. I'll have to give her an invite then to my birthday party. Usually, I did see her at the jazz festival, the main jazz on Main Street, and she's just like a celebrity. So I see her just moving around the crowd. Everybody knows who she is, and I was like, yeah. So she's amazing, and she's also been. I mentioned her because she has been extremely important in my journey to Oshkosh and just welcoming me here, and then pointing me in the directions of just where to get good food, where to connect with good people.
Oh yeah.
And so she knows all of the hidden jewels and gems here in the city. And so she's been just a good friend and someone who's reached out and been supportive just to a newcomer like me. So yeah, she's great. Shout out to Trina.
All right, facts. What else you done found since you've been here? Okay. You know what? There's parts in the show, but we'll get to food.
Okay.
But what else you done found?
I've just been spending time out on the water. I get my energy from nature, and while there are many great establishments here in the city, I think one of the greatest resources that Oshkosh has is its natural environment. So getting out on Lake Winnebago and Butamore and just spending time out in the water. I don't have a boat, but when people let me tag along, I don't miss an opportunity, and it's been amazing just spending time with that with the boating community. That's a thing.
Wait, that's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
Nah, I don't mess with that though.
Look, I'm in this season of my life where I want to try new experiences. I get my energy from the water and from nature. I heard there's a big ice fishing community here as well.
Oh, facts.
And so in February, supposedly there's a big ice fishing to do. And so I'm looking forward to just enjoying all that there is about Oshkosh. So I will be on a snowmobile this winter out on the lake.
Oh,
I'll do some ice fishing and Sturgeon spear, and I'm all in.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what, you ain't doing it now because with these 40-degree days, don't do it.
Right.
No, you gotta wait till the old schoolers when the old schoolers say it's okay.
Okay,
and see, there's a joint right over here called Jerry's.
Okay,
and Jerry's is the Outer Street Fishing Club kind of location.
Okay,
right, and they're actually the ones that set up like going out on the lake and stuff, and they put the trees out so you can see the trails.
Okay,
if you didn't know that they put the old Christmas trees out there so you can see the driving trails on the lake. And
got it.
They mark where it's thin and where it's okay. And so like you gotta wait.
Okay, so you've done this a little bit. You know.
Look, I got a thing about this water thing, and when back in the day when I came here and I got my house right now, if you know, I live about a block and a half off the lake and about 2 blocks off the river. Right, so I do this. But my dad came up here, right? And he comes, and from my driveway, you can see the lake. So he comes up here in winter, and he looks out, and he goes, "What's that out there?" And I was like, "Oh, Pop. My pop's from Mississippi."
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my family is from Kosciuszko, Mississippi.
Oh, Batesville.
Okay. All right.
And so,
to Mississippi.
So Pop be like, "All right, what's that out there? And I said, oh, Pop, them the fishermen. He said, oh, he's like, now, only Jesus is supposed to walk on water. And I said, and I ain't never forgot that. Now, that don't mean that I ain't been out there, though.
I believe you've been out there.
Oh, yeah. I ain't been out there a lot.
I hope you'll join me for ice fishing and snowmobiling this winter.
We going to talk about it.
All right.
Because I'm going to tell you, the last time I went out there was when I was in college. And I used to have, and now, don't do this. I used to have a Cadillac DeVille.
Okay.
And I took the caddy out there. Don't do that.
That's a heavy car to put out there on the ice. Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
The worst part about that whole thing, well, look, the only thing that saved me was at least it wasn't a rear-wheel drive car, because if you had a rear-wheel drive out there, you ain't making it.
Okay.
The caddy did great.
Right.
But there's too many drifts, and the caddy was just, like, you know what the caddy ain't? It ain't all terrain.
Right.
I didn't have no business putting the caddy out there.
Sound like a fun ride though.
It was probably a little dangerous, but I was a little young and not the brightest at that point in my life.
Well, time to get back out there. You said that was right after college, so that was probably about.
What, that was during college.
Oh, during college.
Yeah.
So about 10 years ago.
If you want to make it 10, I'll make it 10. Look, I'm with it. Whatever we want to make it. But the ice fishing and stuff is fantastic. Definitely, if you find the right people to take you out there, it is a great time.
I'm excited for it.
All right, that's what's up. Okay, all right, you ready to jump in?
Let's jump in.
Okay, the first segment is called "What in the World is Going On With?" This is where you start with the phrase "What in the world," and then you go.
All right. So I struggled with this. I had two that were really heavy on my mind. I'll pick the one here. That's just what in the world is going on with every business hiring right now.
Bruh.
I'm wondering where are all the workers at? Where is everyone interested in employment and jobs? Everywhere is hiring, and hiring now, hiring fast. And so I've been thinking about that, particularly here in Oshkosh, as I've been talking to people. I'm from Milwaukee, and so the first thing that people will ask me about is, oh, do they have good jobs out there? I'm like, yes, everywhere is hiring. And so I've noticed that trend, certainly after the pandemic, but it has seemed to persist. So I'm just wondering, where did everybody go, and what's going on with all the businesses hiring, and these positions that are just super hard to fill now? What's going on with that?
All right. Yeah, all right. I got thoughts.
Okay.
All right. And my thought assessment, and I'm sure you've got some assessments. My thought assessment on that is, I think we really underestimate how many people we lost during COVID. Like for real. Yeah. And I don't know how it affected you and people you knew in your family, but like to me in the Black community, like every time I turned around, somebody was passing.
Yeah.
Like it went hard.
Yeah. Especially
in those first, like when it really took off, and like it was probably about like a 5-6 month span. It just went bonkers.
Yeah.
I even lost a half brother. And like, I don't think we've really fully processed the amount of people that were lost, or like we haven't truly acknowledged that loss.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of folks out of the market, working age folks in a lot of cases, right? Then I think the other thing is like COVID also shook a lot of people out into retirement.
That is true.
And it was like, hey, I think it made some people value life differently. Or changed whatever was important, right? And so some people might have been like, I think I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy the rest of this time. I thought I was gonna put that retirement off another 5 years and stack some money, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do this thing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like when you say the jobs are available, my question is like, what are those jobs? And so I think there was a big change of individuals in their career paths and what they decided they were going to do, because I think we hit that point where people, how people be like, oh, if you don't want to get paid that, then don't work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Well, you know what people did? They quit working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And they went and got other jobs and are doing other things. And so, like, there's all of these other opportunities that are available because they did exactly what we told them they should do.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we want them back.
Right. That is a good point. I do think there has certainly been a lot of shifting in people's perspectives and interests professionally. And I think certainly that time during the pandemic gave people time to reconsider. Like, is this what I want to do? Is this how I want to spend my time? The other thing is, I think how the organizations or businesses that people worked for treated them during the pandemic.
Facts.
Certainly had a major impact on whether or not they stayed in that field. And so certainly working in public education, the ever-changing day-to-day dynamics of how we did schooling during the pandemic made it difficult sometimes to put a focus, and certainly a focus that should be number one is how we treated people during that time. But one thing that is true, people's positions on whether or not they should stay in a certain field or with a certain company was heavily tied to how they were treated during the pandemic, how much grace was extended, how much human dignity was acknowledged, just the need that people had to be with their families, to be with loved ones, to have time off, to go to funerals, or to be sick and get well, and just needing that time. There were some organizations that had some very strict requirements and rules, and I know for me, in addition to working in education at that time, I also on the weekends worked at a shelter in Waukesha. And this shelter had 3 different locations. One was for women and children experiencing in-home violence. The other was for men who were without housing due to substance abuse or unanticipated significant loss in income. And then the third was for individuals with disabilities. So at first, that was just a weekend type of thing that I did every other weekend. I worked with this organization for about 5 years. And during the pandemic, we were extremely tight-staffed, and one of the requirements, or if we tested positive for COVID, we would need to. Initially, this was earlier on in the pandemic. We needed to have a doctor's excuse or medical excuse, and for me, I don't go to the doctor to get excuses or doctor. That is extremely expensive.
Heck yeah.
So
the minute you walk in the door, that's like a
bruh. Yeah. I did that one time when one employer required me to get a doctor's note for missing a couple of days of work. I was having really bad migraines, and so went to urgent care to get. That was a $1,300 visit. For them to write down what I'd already said.
Right.
So for me, it's like, all right, I'm not doing that. But it gave me an opportunity to really have some conversations with our HR department, and just said, to require people to have medical excuses when at that time I wasn't offered insurance through this company. So it's like, if you're not paying, or if I don't have healthcare benefits through this organization, I'm working part-time, I'm not going to go spend $1,300 or $1,400 for a doctor's visit. So anyway, so how organizations treated people at that time certainly had a major impact, and that experience wasn't all bad. I was able to bring my feedback forward, and some flexibility was given as a result of that discussion. But I would say many people didn't have that same experience where they were able to get the grace and support and maybe even reconsideration around really strict rules during that time. And so it was very easy for people to say, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think we had too much crazy messaging going on, right?
Yeah.
During that time period. And what made that worse is if there was a consistent messaging that was like, this is really dangerous. Like, I think that jobs could have went about this better. Right. But you got this messaging that's saying like wild things. There over here, it's like, I'm gonna do this, and these people over here, I want my rights. And there was too much crazy going on.
Yep.
I don't think any of that helped anything, because I felt like the people who were the ones that were really being like difficult.
Yep.
We'll just say difficult.
Yeah.
Bruh.
That those weren't the people that were frontline people. They weren't the people that necessarily had the jobs that would have required a lot of community interaction or constant interaction with different constituents or customers. Like, yeah, I get it. You know, you don't believe in this, but where you work and you good. Like you, you ain't in danger.
Right. And here's what I'll say. I certainly don't want to dwell too much. I'm glad that we learned as much as we did about our nation and about ourselves and about people's values during that time. And what I will say is something beautiful that came out of that time that I've taken forward with me is just really valuing time, quality time with loved ones, quality time with myself, giving myself permission to unplug and disconnect from the constant grind of work, because tomorrow is certainly not guaranteed. And that has always been the case. But I think during the pandemic, I had an opportunity to really think more about how do I want to experience joy on a more regular basis? Because during those times, you have to really be intentional about experiencing joy, because we couldn't go out, couldn't do a lot of, connecting and things like that. You couldn't
visit people you might have wanted to visit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I've really been intentional about joy and gratitude. And even today, when I communicate through email, I'll usually end with, thank you, or with joy and gratitude, and then my name. But joy and gratitude have been the two really driving forces of energy in my life. Being able to intentionally experience moments of joy, notice when I'm experiencing joy, and just giving myself time to reflect on it and talk about that out loud with people, sharing good news. And then also gratitude, just telling people thank you. Me giving thanks for just things that I'm experiencing, even if that's not, out loud or talking to another person, but just being able to reflect on the things that I'm thankful for, counting our blessings, as I used to say.
Facts.
And those two aspects of just joy and gratitude, they've been extremely important for me in my life. And while work and just life and all the other things can come with its pressures and its demands, the lift that I get from joy and gratitude just it's unmeasurable. And I absolutely encourage and challenge everybody to think about just ways to incorporate gratitude and joy in really intentional ways just into our daily routines or weekly routines, until experiencing joy on purpose and giving gratitude becomes a habit. But it's been extremely valuable for me, and I pulled that from my experiences during the pandemic, and have committed to that joy and gratitude even now to this day, and certainly hopefully for the many years forward.
Facts. All right. I'm with the gratitude. Like I'm hardcore on a gratitude tip all the time too. Because I feel like I like to think that I have understanding of what it could be like, and so I know that I'm blessed with what I do have, and I try to remind myself as often as possible that I'm lucky and grateful.
Right.
For real. Okay. All right. My what in the world is going on with the abortion case with Katie Cox in Texas.
Bruh.
Like, seriously. And I'm not even trying to go in a political space. I'm going to a human space with this. And I don't understand this. So I don't understand.
So, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no. If you
go for it. I'm gonna jump in. I just need a little more information.
Okay, that's fair. So, like, my whole thing is just this: when you got a situation, when have we dehumanized people to the point that our politics comes in front of their personal health? That's it. This young lady, she's not she's not that lady. She's not some lady that wanted to have an abortion. She has to have it because the situation. And I mean, first of all, humans are complex. We know birth is complex. Not all birth turns out positive or with a positive outcome, for say. And that there's so many medical, I don't know if we want to call them medical anomalies or just medical situations that we should be flexible to the needs of us as humans and what is necessary. And I don't get this. And I don't get the people making these decisions who aren't women making judgment on the health of other women. Right. And they ain't women. So, like, I don't get it. The math ain't mathing. It ain't cool, and here's my thing. As much as everybody's like, they try to make it about pro-life or pro-choice. I don't think it's any of that. I think it's the mind your damn business. Because my health, guess what I don't want anyone else doing? Telling me what to do with my health. Because I need, I know me and my doctor have understanding of whatever's going on. And and as a person who actually does have medical complexities in their life, the last thing I want is someone who don't know me from whatever, making personal decisions about my quality of life because of whatever I may need for medical care. Like, that's just frustrating to me. Like, when did we lose our humanity in this?
And I'm with you around just individual rights and how important it is for, and not to make this super political, a little bit about my background. I am political, so I guess I have to, I'm not making it political. I worked in the state legislature for a very important season around the time of Act 10 when teachers' rights and collective bargaining rights were being stripped away. And then also when I worked in Milwaukee as the chief of staff for our city council president. So the thing that I think is important is we draw a clear distinction around individuals' rights. And when I have conversations, with different people, and I consider myself to be politically progressive, so I'm not conservative nor liberal. I'm progressive. I'm about the growth and the continuing growth of our nation and us being innovative and valuing ingenuity and getting better each day. So as somebody with a progressive way of thinking, I do believe that being able to draw a line between individuals' rights and then when the government or the local government has the ability to determine somebody else's choices, their individual rights. And I know that there's often scriptures and Bible verses used to support either claim. But what I will say, minding your own business is biblical. So in the book of 1 Thessalonians, it specifically talks about, minding your own business. What is that? 1 Thessalonians 4:11. Listen, just mind your own business. So that is the reference that I use for people who need a scripture, for people who need, constitutional or social or moral references around the rights and the choices of individuals who know their bodies, who know their situations more than everybody else who has an opinion about it.
Who's getting medical advice,
right.
From professionals.
Right. So, yeah, I think it is certainly interesting to watch how this plays out. And I will say that, I think about my mother who had a very complicated pregnancy with me. And my name, Samuel, is named after, it's from a story in the Bible where a mother thought that she couldn't get pregnant. She finally was able to get pregnant and then made a commitment that she would dedicate her son, Samuel, to the temple and to the service of God. And so, but she named me Samuel because of the promise that she had made God that if I survived the pregnancy, and I was born significantly premature, and she also had complications, and she had an option, and the doctors told her that if she had went through with the pregnancy, there was a high chance that she wouldn't survive the labor, and that I wouldn't. And you know, this was in the 80s but just medical technology wasn't as advanced as it is now. And so she had a choice, and I'm thankful that she had a choice. And I'm also thankful that she chose to keep me around and go through it. But people also have to respect if the choice is different, and a parent says, I have, you know, other kids or other commitments, and I'm not willing to compromise or risk, you know, a high risk pregnancy. And so I think respecting that choice is important. Respecting the relationship that people have with their healthcare providers and medical professionals is important, and minding your own business is biblical, and that's important too. First Thessalonians 4:11.
And in this case, this young lady wants a family.
Right.
So this wasn't something where this was an accident or anything like that. This is a situation where medically there was just very high difficulties.
Yeah.
That are, you know, that would come about and also threaten her, you know. And so like I don't get it. Like I just think it's gone too far in a sense of that we're not looking out for each other anymore.
Right.
You know, and when did we lose sight of that? When did we lose sight of just trying to look out for our fellow man? And that's how I look at it personally. You know, this isn't this lady isn't frivolous.
Right.
This lady isn't just randomly, this is, you know what I mean, made bad decision. She was hoping for this child.
But
she wanted this child.
Yeah, and even if she wasn't, I mean, I think it always helps to have a situation like this where where we can prop up the ideal kind of perfect.
Oh yeah,
who society would deem as, you know, the perfect person. But even if that wasn't the case, even if this was somebody who, you know, this was unplanned, and it is still, I think, the individual's right. And I think it helps to have, like, here's this perfect situation with this respectable person and this admirable, you know, whatever. But even if that wasn't the case and it was a totally different profile of a person, the principle of the matter is still the principle of the matter.
Right. Mind your own business.
Mind your own business. Okay, so we can drop an applause for that.
All right. Yes. Okay. All right. Ready for the next segment?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Okay. Next segment is called 21 Questions.
All right.
Even though there's not 21 questions, I just like the name of that segment. But we have some, we're trying to go a little more in depth with our guest, and we've got some interesting questions here for you. And we talked a little bit about this already, but I think this is going to give you a real great opportunity to further explain. Question 1.
Yep.
What are you grateful for?
I know that this sounds like cliche, but I'm grateful for life, and I'll tell you why. So on the 15th, so I think that would have been Friday, was the 2nd year anniversary of my dad's passing. And when my dad passed 2 years ago, it was pretty sudden, unexpected. He had gotten sick around Thanksgiving. I went to the hospital and just never really made it out of that. And during the grieving process, and I did my dad's eulogy and final rites prayer at the hospital when he passed away, and then the eulogy at the funeral. And I was really struck by not being able to grieve, because I felt like I needed to be strong and present for my family. And so I got really busy with, let me help out with the things that there are to do with the funeral, with, getting his apartment cleaned out, with, checking in on my other siblings and family members and all of that. And so the grieving process for me, especially during this time of year, the holiday season, it really makes me, and because it is an ongoing process, and now I'm grieving from a place of joy and gratitude, but just realizing how precious, how valuable, and how unpredictable life is. And so I'm grateful to have my health. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for the people that I get to do life with. And so that has really changed how I relate to people, especially people I work with, my neighbors, things like that. Just really being intentional about honoring people and allowing my life to shine and allowing other people's life to shine, and noticing that. So an example of that is, I can remember, people I worked with and coworkers, before I had this revelation around just gratitude for life, I would keep things very superficial, very on the surface. Didn't really have an interest in going deep. It's like, look, I don't want to talk to you about your family. I don't care about your kids, recital. Not that I don't care, but it's like, we're here to do a job, and I want you to be at your best so you can do your job. But people bring their entire selves, their whole self to a job. And so it's not just who they are by their position or how they connect to the organization, but who they are as a parent or a loved one or a Packers fan or a Bucks fan, all the other things, right? And so for me, really getting to understand and learn who people are, the things that make up their full identity, being curious about that, it's really allowed me to build more meaningful relationships and meaningful connections. And even here in Oshkosh, that's been the way that I've led in with my time here, really connected with people, being curious about their lives and being open about my journey and where I am and my journey of life. And it has really allowed me to build some really deep, meaningful connections with people that I have to remind myself that I just got here. And it's like, oh, just met them, a few months ago. But I stayed here in Oshkosh for Thanksgiving. Usually I spend that with my family. All of my family is still in Milwaukee. But I have a family here that I've just instantly connected with and bonded with. And again, we do life with each other. And it's just been great to be able to just build those deep, meaningful connections. But I think if I hadn't had this revelation around gratitude and appreciation for my life, and then curiosity about how other people are experiencing life, and really being able to, in authentic ways, connect on that, I would have a totally different experience. And so part of that revelation, I think, again, it's been great for me to fall in love with Oshkosh quickly, fall in love with the people in this community. And I'm looking forward to doing more of that, just doing more life with people.
What motivates you?
I'm an achiever, as a member of the greatest fraternity in the world, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Oh, sorry.
Yo to the good noops. We are guided by this grounded principle: achievement in every field of human endeavor. And so I'm an achiever, and I would even say an overachiever. And I'm motivated by, and I did my Gallup's Strength Finder. Have you done that? The Strength Finders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So in my top 5 strengths and other profile things like that I've done, an achiever and learner always emerges as one of my top strengths. And so I would say really being able to learn new things, develop new skills, master new competencies, and then having something to show for it is something that motivates me. My grandparents, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, they were from Kosciuszko, Mississippi, and they moved to the north with the intention that their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren would have better opportunities, better life experiences, and just quality of life than we would have maybe otherwise had in the South, and particularly in Mississippi. And so my grandmother was intentional every day about about our growth, about being better, about pursuing opportunity and working hard for opportunities, and creating opportunities and spaces for other people. It's always hear my grandma's voice in my head about, pursuing knowledge and pursuing achievement in ways that set me apart. And so I probably took that to the extreme. And in my mind, it was like, and my grandma was really big about education and me getting a good education. And before she passed away, she had promised me, and at that time, I was in undergrad, and she had promised me, promise grandma you're going to go all the way. And I think she was referring to finishing school, and she knew that she wasn't going to see me walk across the stage and get my bachelor's degree. And as a first-generation college student and college graduate, my grandmother gave me a lot of insight and motivation. And then I just went all the way. So I finished bachelor's degree. When they got a master's, they got another master's. They got another master's, a bit of Ph.D. And I wrote about my grandmother in my dissertation intro, just about how her voice and her daily lessons around achievement and just for myself setting a bar and being better each day, and then also having something to show for it. So I just that motivates me. Achievement motivates me, and it's tied to not just necessarily my own intrinsic desire to achieve, but also just values that have been instilled in me from my grandparents.
All right, I appreciate that. All right, now I just got to take a quick Divine Nine break to say, hey, fight. All right. That's all. That's all I got for that.
Y'all are all right with me.
All right. And next question: what grounds you?
What grounds me? Wow. I like a nice double shot of whiskey, neat. Well, that does ground me. But also, I think my spiritual and I would say moral and spiritual identity grounds me. It keeps me humble, keeps me aware. And so I would say growing up with a very rigid, and I would say maybe even religious training and upbringing in the Lutheran church, and then switching from that to Black Pentecostal church, the humility that was instilled in us, and the importance of just knowing we need God's grace, we need God's covering and provision and protection. And I think that helps keep me grounded. It helps keep me aware that I am imperfect, that I am human, that I feel all of the things that come with feeling, frustration and anxiety and all those things, but really giving myself permission to do that from a place of humility, from a place of grace, and then just learning about grace and humility, and carrying that through. So I would say that spiritual and moral kind of compass, with humility being at the center of that, acknowledging that I need God in my life, and so that's what grounds me. That's what grounds me.
What does success look like to you?
All right, so success to me looks like making an impact, making a positive difference in someone else's life or in the world around me that will matter in rooms that I'm not in, and that will matter after I'm gone from this earth. So I used to think success was, grounded in how much money a person makes, or the kind of car they drive, the kind of clothes they wear, and all of that. And, once I started, making decent money and, driving nice cars and wearing nice clothes, it was really clear to me that, and that also, I do a lot of that because a lot of the young people who I mentor and who I want to make sure that I'm being a positive example for, that they see that you can, work hard and, pursue education, pursue your passions and talents, and that is not corny. A lot of the young folks, the young people, I'm talking like I'm old now, but a lot of the young people, but they, so they're, it is important, for me to be relatable, but I make it very clear to the youth and young people that I have the honor of being able to serve as their mentor, and many of them see me as like their uncle or even father figure, that my success is not tied to the car I drive or the money I make or the clothes I wear, but it's really tied to the impact that I get to make and that I get to have in the world around me. And so that's how I think about success, just making a difference, making an impact. Even in my work here in Oshkosh, I came here specifically to lead work around evolving our literacy program and doing so in ways that gives a significant lift to the results that we're getting in our literacy and reading outcomes. And so for me, success wasn't getting this position or having this title. To me, the success that's the results that are going to come from the work that the team and I am leading to create an impact that's going to persist long after I'm gone. So I'm about results. I'm about having something, as my grandma, having something to show for, having evidence to show for the hard work and the diligence that goes into creating impact.
What irritates you?
I would say complacency irritates me. The status quo irritates me. And I'll go back to, what I said, about my political identity, that I'm neither conservative nor liberal, that I'm progressive. But that's not just a political ideology. That is how I live, just overall. I'm about progress, and I believe stagnation is a curse. I think that if you're not growing, even if it's 1% each day, then we're in regression and we're dying. And so for me, complacency or making peace with mediocrity, that irritates me. And I'm the type of person that believes innovation and ingenuity and growth rests on people who can see and envision progress in really practical ways and overcome the status quo and complacency that often pulls at progress like gravity. So I really believe that like complacency and mediocrity and the status quo is the gravity that often pulls at progress, and that irritates me, but it's also what motivates me and keeps me going.
What scares you?
I would say what scares me is, and not to sound bleak or grim or anything, but not being able to have the impact or accomplish the goals and dreams that I have while I still have my health and strength. That is scary to me to think about, leaving the earth or not having the physical or intellectual ability to do the things that I know I was put on this earth to do. So while that scares me, again, it also motivates me. I have to do the work that I was sent here to do, put on the earth to do while I have time. And running out of time is something that scares me. Yeah.
What recharges your soul?
My soul. What recharges my soul? So I would say service recharges my soul. I get energy from quietly, humbly in the background, being able to serve other people. I get joy from that. Again, I get peace from that, and I have this plaque hanging on my door in my office. You probably saw it when you came in, and it's a line from a hymn called "It Is Well with My Soul," and the verse that's written on there, the lines that are written on there, just talks about, when peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll. But whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well, it is well with my soul. And for me, it is well with my soul when I can disconnect from the daily grind and the daily just pursuits and ambitions to serve people and to do it in a way that I'll never get recognition for. People don't have to see it or even know it was me. And that recharges me. That recharges my soul. It keep things well with my soul.
Last one. How do you define love?
What's love got to do?
Bruh.
What's love got to do with it? I define love. Wow. So again, not to be too biblical, but my first definition of love just comes from the Bible around love is patient, love is kind, it does not boast, it lifts up. So I define love, I guess, just by virtue of the teachings that I've submitted myself to, as being patient, being kind, being humble, not boasting, lifting up, and then being able to put the needs and the realities of others above my own when I can. But then also being able to love myself, which I'm learning how to do right now. I have never given the time to really learn how to love myself. And so when I discovered that on my drive back here, when I drove from Virginia to Oshkosh, and that song I just sang, "What's Love Got to Do with It?" It came on my playlist, and there were it created some good conversation for us in the car around self-love. And so anyway, my nephew was with me, asked me about that, like, what are my thoughts on self-love? And I was like, I don't even feel qualified to speak on that because I can talk a lot about just how to show love to others and how to show love to the people around us. But what I'm discovering, and this question will help me be intentional about that as I go into 2023, is defining self-love and defining how does Sam love on Sam every day. So that's an important question for me that I'm discovering. And next time I see you, if you ask me, I hope to have a better answer for love as it pertains to myself.
I thought this was the perfect answer this time.
Okay.
Okay. Next segment. The next segment is called Word Association. This is where I say a word and you tell us what's on your mind, Sam.
All right.
And we always start off with the first word, the greatest word, the unifying word, the word that brings us all together.
Yep.
And that word is food.
Food. So spaghetti comes to mind when I think of food.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Break that down.
So I have this bomb spaghetti that I make. So let me just start with that. But no, it comes to mind just because it's comfort food. Spaghetti is one of those filling kind of, and everybody has their own way of making spaghetti. So there's no one way to do it. If you're from the South, you might sweeten your spaghetti and put sugar in it. If you're from, some people don't like their sauce all mixed up in their spaghetti, so they just do the noodles and a little bit of marinara sauce and meatballs. There's just so many different ways to make spaghetti, but I appreciate the uniqueness of it. And again, I make a bomb spaghetti, secret recipe, so I can't talk too much about it. But
you can give me some.
I can.
Wait, you ain't got to talk about it. Be about it.
I'll be about it.
I got you. Go on and invite me. I'm already intrigued.
You'll love it.
Okay. Fantastic. Cocktail or beer?
French 75. So French 75 is my favorite cocktail. Also, I'm a whiskey guy. So yeah, there we go. French 75s and old fashions.
Old fashions, French 75. It's a whiskey.
French 75. So I do mine with cognac. So it's usually cognac, champagne, and some orange bitters, some bitters, lemon bitters, and it's one of those drinks. So French 75 is actually an old gun. So I need to figure out why they call it a French 75, why it's named after a gun. But the point is, it'll sneak up on you. You only need one. But it's also a very classy drink. So one of my mentors told me, if you really want to impress somebody, and if you're on a date or you are having a business meeting or something like that, order a French 75. That's going to signal to the server or the bartender or the person that you're with that you understand a good quality drink. If you really want to take it up a notch, do a cognac French 75. Normally it's made with gin, Hendrick's gin, but do a cognac French 75. So have you had one before? Cognac?
I never even heard of this before.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
I am fascinated.
That's what I'm saying.
And now I feel low grade.
Well,
wait, I thought I was bougie with my Grey Goose. Apparently, I'm not bougie enough.
No, you gotta catch up. So now you know French 75. You really want to feel bougie, order a French 75.
Now I want you to know I'm gonna go try this now. I'm not taking this challenge lightly. Like I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make sure I put on a bow tie and some cufflinks.
There you go. That's the right way to do it.
Can I get a French 75?
There you go. That's the right way to do it.
Okay, I am fascinated. Okay, we gotta do that. Can we make these at home?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
oh yeah.
Okay. I might want to try it at home. Make sure I even want to go out and ask for a French 75 because it would be worse if I go ask for the French 75 and then I'm looking like I can't stand that drink.
Stand it. Yeah.
Yeah. That.
If you make it at home, again, only drink one. So they do not underestimate the power of a French 75, which is maybe why it's named after a gun.
Like it's a creeper.
Yeah. Yep. Don't underestimate it. These things are strong and. Yeah, they're good though, really good.
Okay, fantastic. Shop local.
Shop local. So I just got here, so I don't know a lot about where to shop local around here.
Have you had a chance? Well, I'm going to go to the simple things.
Okay.
Have you eaten some places?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything you like that stands out? Any place?
Yeah, so TJ's Highland. That was one of the first places I went out to eat when I got here, and it was during EAA, so yeah, big fan of TJ's Highland. Also, the Fox River Brewery, they have a bomb chicken salad, and it's made with chicken that's breaded in Captain Crunch breading.
Oh yeah, that stuff's legendary.
Yeah,
that stuff's been around since I was in college.
Yes,
10 years ago.
10 years ago, right. So I definitely get over there for the crispy chicken salad with French dressing. Though I don't usually do it with the dressing that it comes with. And then Beckett's, the coconut shrimp at Beckett's are A1. So that's definitely my go-to there. Okay. And then, I shop local at Pick and Save because I cook a lot. And so for me, shop local is going right around the corner to the Pick and Save. Oh, Leon's. I got to shout out Leon's ice cream.
Oh, see.
So that's a local staple. So I've heard. And so I live a few blocks from Leon's, and which is really dangerous because I eat way too much ice cream. And
wait, I'm going to course correct you right now.
Okay.
Because Leon's going to call, and they're going to be like, can you please tell Sam to quit calling it ice cream?
It's not ice cream.
We make custard.
Right. Custard. Let me get it right.
Custard.
You're right.
Because they look, they're going to show up at my house puffed up, mad at me. I'm going to be like, look, I knew it was custard.
You're right. Let me get it correct. Custard. Leon's has the best frozen custard. And so whenever I am just having a custard craving, I go to Leon's, and I usually get the bucket. And again, I have way too many of the white buckets of ice cream in my freezer. I'm working my way through all of them, but it's like, oh, this cheesecake ice cream is really, I'm a butter pecan guy particularly, but I'm just like, this was good. Can I get a pint of that or get a, you know, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff's fire.
Yeah.
All right. I feel that. Okay. I'm going to throw one more word in here.
All right.
That's not on the list. And that word is diversity.
All right. Diversity. So you're asking me what comes to mind?
Yeah. Word association. We're still on word association.
Diversity. That should be easy for me, actually. I just think like difference comes to mind, or uniqueness. I'm gonna say uniqueness. Uniqueness comes to mind when I think of diversity. Let me say more about that. So I'm
gonna wait. I was gonna give it time to breathe.
Yeah. So I think usually when people hear the word diversity, race comes to mind first, and I think, which is fine. But I think even thinking about diversity through a racial lens, it's important to understand that we are not a monolith. And so if people think black when they hear the word diversity, which they do. So when I used to be a director for equity for a school district, and a lot of our work was around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, people would often say, oh, well, it doesn't matter to me if you're black, purple, brown, white. They go through all the colors, which to me signals that they have not had a lot of opportunity to talk about diversity through an identity lens, and especially through a racial lens. And for me, I actually want it to matter that I'm black, because it does matter. My blackness, my racial identity has a lot to do with how I show up in the world. It has a lot to do with how I perceive the world. It has a lot to do with, there's certain words, when I walk into a room, right? If you and I are in the same room, and let's say we're at, I don't know, what's a place around here that we would potentially, let's just say we're at the grocery store, right? Mm-hmm. If I walk by you, there is a universal gesture, you and I, even if I have never seen you before, there's a universal gesture we're going to exchange with each other.
It's called the head nod.
The head nod, right?
Yeah,
right.
The head nod is happening.
Right. And we just know to do that. Mm-hmm. And that part is, and that, that matters. That's unique among black folks, right? But then there are also things that make us uniquely different. And so even within a racial group, there is tons of uniqueness and diversity. But then I think also zooming out, diversity could, means gender. It could mean political identity. It could mean any, fraternal affiliations that people are a part of, socioeconomic status, ability, language, nationality, part of the country you're from. The connection we just made around having ties or connections to Mississippi, so I think, when we talk about or being in the Divine Nine, so I think, diversity is the essence of uniqueness, and being able to appreciate uniqueness and see uniqueness instead of saying, I don't see any of that or none of it matters because you're just a person and I just see you as a person. And it's like, well, I actually want you to see me for the uniqueness that makes me a person, the unique complexities that make me a person through my racial identity, through my gender identity, through my political identity, through my religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs, through my identity as a Badger, go UW-Madison, go Badgers, through all of that, right? All of that matters and has informed the lens that I see the world through. And it is okay. That is perfectly fine. And that's what makes me unique. And it's beautiful when I can encounter someone who doesn't have those same experiences. And as I talked earlier about me being curious about the life that people live and just like what makes up who they are, I want to know who a person might be as a cancer survivor. That is a very unique lens and perspective that you move around through the world with, a very diverse community that people who have beat and survived cancer that they see the world through. And so I want to lean into that and learn more. I want to learn more about vegetarians and people who practice yoga and just all of that, right? So I think of, when I hear diversity, I hear just uniqueness. And I think it's a beautiful thing to lean into that, to embrace that, to celebrate diversity and uniqueness, and then make room and space for people to be able to live out loud and not feel like we have to cover up or scale back our diverse identities as a way to get along. It's the whole like melting pot versus salad bowl theory, or gumbo, if you like gumbos. So for me, it's like we don't need to be a melting pot where we all just blend in and we're all the same. We have different textures, different flavors, different, just perspectives about us, and we can all exist in the same pot with our differences. And if you like gumbo, then all of those ingredients are in one pot, and all are necessary to make gumbo good gumbo. So all of it is necessary. Diversity is necessary for ingenuity. It is necessary for innovation. It's necessary for progress. Having diverse perspectives and ideology and ways of being and ways of thinking in one room or in one community or around one table, working to solve complex issues that don't have one solution, that might have many solutions. So we need diversity to grow. We need diversity to be better. We need diversity to experience progress. And we should lean into that and embrace it and see it as a good thing.
You went hard.
All right.
All right.
Ooh,
I'm going to let you breathe. Right. Go on, breathe. Okay.
Some of my crystal light here.
There you go. Okay. Next segment. And maybe this one might be a little challenging, but we can expand this out. So the next segment is called Kosh Hidden Gems. And what the Kosh Hidden Gems is to share a hidden gem that you have found in the region with our listeners. It could be something everybody knows about, and maybe they don't know this one particular thing about it. Maybe it's something you don't think a lot of people know about. And we can even expand that out because, at the end of the day, you is from Wisconsin.
Right.
So we can go as far out as you want to go.
Oh, okay.
So, hidden gem.
All right. So, I could go as far. So I'm from Milwaukee. So I have to, just shout out this place in Milwaukee. And then if any Oshkosh people are visiting Milwaukee, and shout out to my guy, Mike. So there's a restaurant or bar and bistro called Bellis, Bellis, a hidden gem in Milwaukee. It's on South Kinnickinnick Ave. And you talk about just amazing food. They got a good fried lobster tail and noodle dinner if you want some good yams. Not sweet potatoes, yams. You want some good yams and greens and seafood mac and cheese, you go to Bellis Bar and Bistro. So Oshkosh folks in Appleton, if y'all ever are in the Milwaukee area, Bellis Bar and Bistro on South Kinnickinnick Ave. The owner, Mike, tell him Sam sent you, and they'll hook you up. They also have some good French 75s in there. Good music as well. Usually my guy, DJ Nick Stokes, is DJing in there. And so you think when you're walking in there, you think you're going to have, a nice, and you are going to have a nice meal and a nice drink. But it's so much community and family happening in this establishment, in this environment where people from all walks of life, just all perspectives, just everything are gathered into one place, one spot, and having a blast. So whenever I'm in Milwaukee, that's where I meet up at. And it's meet me at Bellis.
Okay, I'm in.
Right.
Look, I'm serious. That's a new one.
Yep.
I've never heard of Bellis, but I'm about to make a field trip.
Make a field trip. You will love it.
Matter of fact, wait, you ain't off the hook. That means we making a field trip.
Okay, let's do it.
Wait, it's better to go with the person who they know.
Exactly. Well, let's go, and you're gonna love it. You gotta, when you come back, and I need a report from you on. A public report on was it all I said it was, and you're gonna say it was all that answer.
I promise you, when I come back, it will make the shout outs.
All right.
So because I need to verify.
All right.
I need to verify.
Trust but verify. I hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. We're gonna take a quick commercial break at this time.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliet Sturgeon, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
Okay, we are back, and we are now coming upon my favorite segment in the Kosh. Kosh listeners, you already know, and that is now story time. And story time is the opportunity for our guest to tell us a story. It ain't got to be, it's not about anything in specific or anything. It is just a story of their choosing. So, Sam.
Oh, God.
What do you got?
I'm probably the worst storyteller. And so, does it need to be a real story?
I'm going to usually say the best story is usually something you've actually either experienced or you've seen.
Okay.
It's tough when you got to make one up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, I do want to share a story, and it actually is not a really great story, but there is a silver lining that comes from this story, and it's a story that has been shared somewhat on some news and media outlets, and it was about an experience that I had when I recently came to Oshkosh. Back in July. Is it all right if I talk a little bit about this? All right.
I'm glad we're talking about this.
All right. So I arrived to Oshkosh in July 1st, and jumped right into work. And so I came from Virginia, Lynchburg, Virginia. So when I arrived to Oshkosh and started at work, I didn't have a chance to do all of the HR paperwork where you have to show them your passport and 2 forms of ID. You have to do all that stuff in person. So I didn't do any of that ahead of time like most people would have. I had to do it when I got here right away, July 2nd or whenever we started, which is also 4th of July, the week of 4th of July. So a lot of people were out. So long story short, my first paycheck that I got was a paper check because of just the timing of when I got here and all of that. The bank that I bank with, normally Educators Credit Union, is in the Milwaukee area. So there are no Educators Credit Unions out here in Oshkosh. So I took my check to a bank that the check was drawn on, Associated Bank, and went in to cash the check. Again, I just got here. I need to buy food, buy curtains for the house, all the things that you have to do, pay my movers, all of that. So I go to the bank, and when I walked in, handed the check to the young lady who was at the counter. She said, "Let me just check with the manager to make sure that I can cash it." I was like, oh, "Okay, great." And I knew that, and I've cashed checks at banks before that weren't the banks that I typically bank with because it's either more convenient for me to go there or whatever. So she came back and with the assistant manager. The assistant manager had the check in his hand and gave it back to me and said, "I'm not cashing this. This is fraud." So mind you, it's a check from the school district. The check is drawn on an Associated Bank account. So it's right there, like it's their check. And so it was a really challenging moment where I had to choose, like, how do I respond in this moment where I'm being accused of fraud? I was never asked for an ID.
They never even asked for the ID.
Never asked for an ID. I didn't even get to that. I couldn't even get to that part of the transaction yet. Never ran the check through. He could have literally looked the check up in their own system because, again, it is their check drawn on the. They could have called the school district to say, "Hey, like I have, someone in here with a check. I just want to verify this, or could have just Googled me and looked me up. I mean, it also was very clear that, there were several press releases that the school district had put out about me being the new assistant superintendent there. So there were a variety of things that could have happened to confirm the legitimacy of the check. None of those things happened. What did happen was I was accused of attempting to commit fraud or attempting to present a check that was not legitimate. Again, no attempts to check the authenticity of the check or verify my identity. So the check was, given back to me. I was basically turned away, denied service. I called, got to the car, and mind you, I'm wearing a suit. It was Friday. I'm feeling good, wearing a suit, had my car washed, all of that. So,
Right.
And so went back to the car.
And this is like your first week or
this is my first week here. Yeah,
First week
here. So this was one of my first interactions, really a defining moment, and it was kind of like, all right, well, welcome to Oshkosh. So I reached out to the corporate office for Associated Bank and filed a complaint. I got a phone call back from the director of branch banking. I missed his call. Thankfully, I missed his call because these types of things are so outrageous. Most people will believe that it's something else there has to be more to the story, or they don't believe that this happened. If I'm talking about this, like people are like, yeah, maybe. So did he really just treat you like that? Did he really just deny you, sir? That's exactly what happened. So anyway, thankfully, I missed his call. And he left a voice message. And this voice message is what legitimized my experience. So he basically says, hey, this is, such and such calling from Associated Bank. I received your complaint after our investigation looking into the matter. We see that we did not follow our policy and we should have cashed the check. So, and I shouldn't have to require or need somebody to go on record and say that. But to me, it was the only way that this story would even be believable to people. But I think what was more of unbelievable is, so I set up a meeting to talk about my experience. And really what I wanted was an honest conversation about why I was denied service. But instead what I got was, it was just a misinterpretation of policy. It was just a bad customer service experience. It was a misinterpretation of policy. And for me, I know that that's not what I was experiencing.
Nope.
So I've been in situations where somebody got confused about a policy. I understand that, but I know that that's not what was happening in this interaction, not at all. But for this to be minimized, to just get over it, it was a misinterpreted policy. So I know when I'm being profiled. I know when, again, it wasn't that the policy was confusing, because remember, I was told by the gentleman who refused to cash my check that the check was fraudulent, right? The gentleman,
they started with that.
So it wasn't about a policy misunderstanding.
No, it was at a judgment.
It was a judgment. I was being accused of fraud.
Right. They didn't say anything about any policy or that they were going to have to do this, that, or nothing. They just came straight to accusations
exactly.
and
fraud. And then I met with and the superintendent joined me in this meeting with the director of branch banking and the market manager. And I recorded the entire meeting where they doubled down and say he thought you were committing fraud. And that was, so it never was about a policy.
Wait. But what made him think that?
That interesting. That's what I would like to know. And I never got an answer to what made you think that
it was fraudulent.
This was fraudulent.
Yeah.
Is it suspicious that somebody who looks like me would bring a check that I would say is suitable for an assistant superintendent to bring to a bank, especially new to the district? That would make sense. But I never got a clear answer of what about me appeared to be fraudulent or made this person come to a quick judgment to say, I'm not even going to ask for your ID. I'm not even going to attempt to see if this is a legitimate check. You're trying to commit fraud. and here's your document back. And so I read the article. So anyway, a couple of months passed by. Didn't really get any resolve from the bank. Again, I need to be clear. This was not about a misunderstanding of policy, because in my meeting that I have recorded, it is true they didn't follow their policy, but it is also true that the reason they didn't follow the policy is because there was a judgment made that I was attempting to commit fraud. And then there are procedures that they have to respond to assumptions of potential fraud.
And they didn't follow
them. And even on the back of the check, there's all types of, and this is on the back of most paychecks that are in, there are directions to the bank that you can follow to determine if the check is fraud. You can hold it up to the light and there'll be a watermark in it. And so there's all of that that's on the back of that same check. So anyway, the WBAY ran a story on this interaction, and I wanted to tell my story because I felt like I was being ignored and dismissed by the bank. And then I read the comments. And I read the comments.
Oshkosh decided not to. They I brag about Oshkosh a lot. And I love Oshkosh. I've been here for a long time.
Yep.
But they sure did a crap job. To a newcomer to our community who's coming to make things better for our kids.
Yep. Here's what I'll say though. That experience. Again, one of my first experiences arriving here, I also had a choice of, am I going to let this define how I, and again, in the comments and the way people were, throwing their 2 cents and, on it, as frustrating as some of that was, I have to say, I felt an overwhelming amount of support from people in Oshkosh who said, like, this is not who we are. This does not represent who we are as a community.
Correct.
And I did feel supported by community members, by, Trina reached out to me, gave me a call, and she was just a safe space for me to vent to and talk to. And Aaron Shearer from the Pain Arts Museum reached out, and we had a chance to to talk through. So I also quickly found out that although that experience, as upsetting and awful as it was, that does not represent the essence of who Oshkosh is and what Oshkosh is. And I did feel, again, an overwhelming amount of support while there were, again, some really stupid, ridiculous comments in this bad interaction. Overall, I had a choice to decide, am I going to focus on that, or will I embrace the love and the support that I got from people saying, thank you for being here, welcome to Oshkosh, and we want to make sure that you feel welcomed in a proper way, and truly apologetic for the experience. But anyway, so I did choose to lean into the support that I got and use that as my frame of reference for what my experience in Oshkosh will be. But nonetheless, this situation did happen in 2023 in Oshkosh at Associated Bank.
And they still ain't said that.
Not a peep. I have not heard. So since that meeting where they said that they would get back to me and quote said, we will have a resolution that you will find to be agreeable and appropriate. We will get back to you and thank you for coming in and talking with us. And that was back in July. I haven't heard anything since.
Not a peep.
Not a peep.
Yep. Now, I'm just gonna say that just so you know that this situation this story that you're sharing made what in the world is going on with for a couple of episodes because it was worthy.
Yeah.
It was worthy of what in the world is going on with. When I saw this and I read about it, and I've had situations like this happen to me here, but they at minimum what they always did was they would take the check and say you've got to wait so many days before you cash it and clear it.
Right.
Okay.
Which I was prepared for that to be a
if
potential
that's,
outcome.
Right. If that's the outcome, I got to wait 3 days or 4 days, whatever, forever, whatever. It's not idea.
Right.
But at least they didn't tell me I was in there committing fraud.
Right.
Which gives me feelings.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of
to accuse me of a felony, like that is a felony, right? Like
yeah.
They could say you're in here committing fraud.
At that level of a check probably of that size, you know.
Yep.
Like you ain't just bouncing $5 checks.
Right.
So yeah.
And same thing. And I had, some people, reach out to and say, yeah, well, I go in that bank all the time and I haven't had any problems with cashing checks. I was like, right. And you might be cashing a, $200 check or something like that. So that I wasn't cashing a $200 check. And so it's not to suggest that everybody's going to have that experience, but it certainly is to suggest that if a person, particularly a black person, has reached a certain level of professional status or professional success and they're compensated and hold a position accordingly, that concerns or maybe even sends a signal up that there has to be something up with this person, because there's no way they would have a check this size, or there's no way that they would be. Even sometimes when I will tell people like, oh, I'm the assistant superintendent. I was like, oh, really? Oh, good for you.
Wait, wait. I was gonna say no. That's the good for you. I already knew what it was. I already know what the good for you is.
Good for you.
Look, the good for you is the most condescending thing that can be said to you. Right, I did a segment on that because people don't understand. Like we know what you're saying when you're saying good for you, but I know what I'm saying back to you.
Yeah.
Because good for you, like because they're ready, and this is gonna happen to you where if you go out, particularly solo black here, and you might be somewhere having a drink by yourself, and people are going to come sit around you and they're going to be really nice and they're going to ask questions.
Yep.
And they want to know, what do you do? Where'd you come from? Blah, blah, blah. Right. And then, because I got to a spot here where I wouldn't tell them what I did. I just told them I was the garbage man.
Yeah.
You know why? Because then I could drink my drink in peace.
Yeah.
Because the minute I would tell them, what do you do? Oh, I work at the university. Oh, good for you.
Oh, good for you.
Right. And the condescension was just dripping.
Yeah.
Right. And I get it. Maybe you got feelings about that. Maybe my professional trajectory has surpassed whatever you were trying to do or has accomplished or whatever. But like, there ain't no need for all that.
Right.
Like, I didn't come talk to you.
Right.
I didn't come sit down next to you and start a conversation asking you, what do you professionally do? Right. You did that. And so, like, I'm not feeling that. And so I already knew what happened.
Yeah. So can I take a moment to talk to my white brothers and sisters listening? If you ask, particularly a black person, about what they do, please don't follow it up with good for you. And I'm not, again, I'm talking to my white brothers and sisters because I love all people. I love y'all. I do. And it is so important. I believe that the intention, or maybe even the unaware kind of impact that's there, when I hear good for you, and like you said, you've already talked about it in the segment, so it comes across as extremely condescending. And like, you might as well like just be patting me on my head too while you're saying, oh, good for you, So anyway, so, yeah.
No, it's just facts.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of times that have happened. And when I know that they're feeling some kind of way?
Oh.
Because they won't tell me what they do.
Right. Did you ask?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to ask me.
Yeah.
Because I followed that right up right after the good for you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so what do you do? Well, I've been living here for... I lived over in such and such neighborhood, and my kids, and we never get to what they did.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's the number one sign.
If they do answer, would you say, oh, good for you? I just can't even imagine myself saying that to somebody.
No,
I can't imagine saying that to somebody.
You know why? Because when they go low.
Yeah, we go high.
Facts. And so that's just where I'm at with that. All right. But yeah, no, I felt everything about this. Oh my God, this is so good. Woo. Thank you, Sam. We needed to have this talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Now it's time. Now it's time for the real deal. Here we go. All right, it is time for the topic of the week. The topic of the week is chosen by our guest 99.9% of the time, and this week will be no different.
All right.
Sam, what's our topic of the week?
Let's talk reading and literacy. Reading and literacy is an extremely important conversation right now that is happening across our nation, in educational spaces, in political spaces, at home, and certainly so much of my work is around diving into what needs to happen in our schools to make sure that all of our children have the opportunity to receive a high quality education and high quality reading abilities. So it has come to light within recent years that in many school districts across the nation, about 30% of the students are proficient in reading. 30.
Oh,
Bruh.
So this statistic and reading proficiency as measured by how students are performing on state standardized tests and then their ACT scores. And so when you look at just a third of America's students, and again, that third can be slightly higher in some places or lower in others, depending where you are in the country. So a third are proficient readers. This is, I would say, a problem a very solvable problem that we have to lean into. So one of the things that is happening here in Wisconsin, but also just around the nation, is legislation at the state level being passed to require school districts to take a different approach or a science-based approach to teaching reading. But I also think that the schools alone, and we play an important role in building the literacy skills of students as educators. I also think that it is extremely important that we have the partnership of our families, the partnerships within our communities, so that we can wrap around all of our young people, so that all of our young people can be strong readers. I grew up in a household, again, my grandparents were, and my mother, they were very intentional about making sure we knew how to read. And we were always told that reading is the key to being able to find success in life. And there were many years ago, before our time, it was illegal for Black people to even be able to read. So the illiteracy of Black people was state and government sanctioned. And when Frederick Douglass, in his autobiography, talked about when he was freed, he was unfit to be a slave because he knew how to read. And so I think as we zoom forward into 2023, I often talk about reading as and being able to read as a liberation key. And that's for people across any race, across any socioeconomic status, any identity. Literacy is a key to choice. It's a key to options. It's a key to freedom. And whatever freedoms it is that a person might want to pursue, there are certainly limitations or barriers that could get placed in the way if you can't read. If you can't read a contract, if you can't read an agreement, if you don't have the confidence to pursue certain career opportunities based on your insecurities around not being able to read. So just a lack of confidence often prevents people from even trying. And a lot of that confidence can be tied to reading. Or when we look at the number of people who are incarcerated and just the correlation or the relationship that often exists between incarceration rates and reading proficiency, we have work to do as a nation, and certainly as a school system, to improve the reading and literacy outcomes of our young people. And I believe that this is going to require a community-wide effort where reading is prioritized in the home. My nephew, who I also consider my sons, him and his girlfriend are expecting twins, and so they had the baby shower yesterday. And I went among the things that I brought them. I brought books, and I appreciated that Thomas on the invitations to the baby showers asked that instead of bringing cards, he wanted books to be the gift, because it's extremely important that his children are raised in a household that has ample opportunity for reading to occur. And so what I think is important as we approach the work leaning into implementing Act 20, which is Wisconsin's reading bill, recently passed legislation around improving literacy outcomes, that we take a community-wide approach to making sure that all of our children have books in their hands. They're hearing books being read to them at home before bed. I don't know if people still read bedtime stories to their children, or just the children sitting on a lap while you read. But if we've stopped doing that, just coming back to literacy in the households, reading at home, letter identification, sound, this letter makes this sound, we have to get back to that. And we're doing that certainly in our schools. But for a third of our nation's student population being proficient in reading, I think that this is a problem, but it is a very solvable problem. And solving that problem won't just mean we have higher reading scores. It'll mean that we have more empowered, more informed, more confident, more capable community members who are prepared to fulfill and access the rights that are guaranteed to them by the Constitution of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think not being able to read and not having literacy proficiency gets in the way of us being able to enjoy and experience freedom and meritocracy. I know people are, being able to work hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and earn your way through society on your own merit. Well, I don't want us to underestimate how important literacy and reading is to meritocracy, how important reading and literacy is to being able to decide what you want in life, whether that's being an entrepreneur or opening a business. You got to know how to read a contract then, right? You got to be able to understand, laws that govern, operating your business. So we just need to get back to that. And as we lean into the implementation of Act 20, which is Wisconsin's reading and literacy bill, I'm asking that community members, listeners here, that we find ways to partner with community agencies, organizations, and schools to help increase the efforts that we have in place to support reading. And read to your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, and have them read to you, more importantly. Reading to them is great, and then have them read to you.
I think, to me, that's the most important thing.
Yep.
Right there. Like, this stuff needs to happen outside of the school.
Yep.
Like, if you really are going to be proficient at anything, it happens at home.
That's right.
With, hopefully, if you have the ability to have access to extra coaching.
Yep.
Those other individuals, whether they're experts or not. Bottom line is that, if you've got the right parent and they're reading along or assisting, that goes limitless ways.
Yep, absolutely.
And then we do have really good resources in the region.
Oh, we do.
And so I want to give a quick shout out to my man, Dr. Dyslexia Dushan Robinson.
Yes.
Himself. And our library system.
Yes. So Dr. Robinson, and also congratulations to him on his recent recognition from the UW Madison. But then also I've had an opportunity to follow some of his work since I came out here to Oshkosh 6 months ago. A friend of mine, also one of your frat brothers, asked me if I had a chance to meet him yet. And this is one of my friends from Milwaukee. So I looked him up on LinkedIn and just saw just how, despite some of the most challenging odds, just how he's pressed through. So I definitely want to shout him out, our library system, the Winnebago Area Literacy Council, and just we have a ton of great resources and leaders around this work right here in the community. And I think being able to leverage, align, and lean into those resources and gems that we have right here in the community is critical to us breaking that barrier of the number of students that we currently have proficient in reading, getting to, I believe we should have 100% of our students proficient in reading. And I'm a big dreamer, and I think we can get to 100% or very, very close.
All right. So my question to you is, you know, I used to work in the school district in Appleton. And so my question kind of is like, what do you do in the situation where sometimes what's happening is the parent themselves are not proficient.
Right.
So then they're scared. Like they don't know what to do.
Yep.
And they're more than hesitant to share with others that they're not equipped.
Sure.
And if they're not equipped, it's kind of like, how do I equip my child? Or how do I get equipped so I can equip my child, right? We see that also in parents.
Yep.
How do we approach that? Like, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, I would say there are a lot of resources out there for adults who are learning to read. And I partnered for years with an organization helping young adults who were recently released from incarceration to learn how to read and learn reading. And I talked a little bit earlier about just the correlation between incarcerated individuals and once they are re-entering society, just really looking at just the relationship between their reading proficiency and incarceration experiences. So there are resources out there for parents, but what I will say is it's often harder to navigate those resources because many parents who are struggling with their reading proficiency often work more hours because of the types of opportunities or jobs that they've been able to access. So working
Right.
2 or 3 jobs. So it's harder to say, well, just go take a weekend class and learn how to read because
Right.
they're usually, working 50, 60 hours a week, across, 2 or 3 jobs. And a lot of that is tied to the type of opportunities, they've been able to have access to largely as a result of their reading ability. But what parents can do is there are, especially in today's time, there are so many resources to help parents help their kids. So even if the parent themselves is not able to take advantage of some of the classes and opportunities there are so many programs online through YouTube that they can connect their students with through the libraries. So they don't have to be the experts on teaching their student how to read. There are things that they can do at home. I grew up, with PBS on Channel 10 and 30, right?
Facts.
And those programs are still around as well. And so I think being able to tap into, and even more so because, and you don't have to wait for Sesame Street and other things to come on because it's on YouTube.
It's
now.
on
You can
demand.
It's on demand. And they have, channels on, if you have streaming services as well, just you can have on-demand programming. And some of it is kind of gamey where students are learning how to read through a game or through a fun, experience and learning through play or learning through games, I think is valuable. So parents can do that as well. But in this day and age, there is no excuse. No excuses. There's too many resources out there, too many developments, and it's too much research and information out there to avoid doing what we need to do. And so I would just encourage for parents who maybe don't have that confidence, through streaming services, through YouTube, through programs at the libraries, through games and play to help students learn letters and letter sounds and how to read. All of that is literally at our fingertips at any time of day. And
Literally.
so lean into that. Yep.
It's called your smartphone.
Smartphone. Yep.
All right. Okay. Is there any last things that you would like to share with us that you didn't get an opportunity to say?
This is, I will say, first of all, thank you for having me on the Kosh. I think being able to talk about my experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the good and the beautiful has been great. And I absolutely love Oshkosh. Sometimes I encounter people and they're wondering, like, all right, what's next for you? So, you Ph.D. from UW-Madison, you're involved in all these things. Like, are you here for just a good time and not a long time? What's up? I just want to say I love Oshkosh. My plan is to drop my anchor here and, immerse myself in this community and run this marathon just through the work that we have ahead of us as a school system, but also as we grow as a community, as we grow to embrace the diversity that exists here, as we grow to support the new businesses that are evolving here. I'm excited to be a resident of the city, a community member here, and supporting people who are also serving here in our community. Shout out to Lakeisha Hayes, who is also an amazing leader in our community, who selflessly serves and leads. And I'm excited to be able to do whatever I can in my spheres and my circles to help lift up what's great about Oshkosh. And so I'm here. I'm here for the long run, here to run the marathon as we continue to grow, experience progress as a community. I'm just honored to be one member of the 68,000 or so people who are here, who call Oshkosh home. I'm excited to be a part of that number.
Sam, I'm sorry to tell you, we was keeping you anyway.
Keeping
you anyway.
All right.
All right. Kosh listeners, you know what time it is. It's time that we're going to start winding up this episode. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds, giving us your ears. Thank you for caring about your community enough to learn about another amazing community member. I can't thank you enough. I keep having these amazing experiences as I'm out and about in Oshkosh, and I'm running into people who are Kosh listeners, and the things that they're learning about their neighbors. They're learning about our resources. They're learning about all of the great things that we have in our region, not just Oshkosh, but everything from Green Bay through Fond du Lac, and all of that is important because community doesn't have borders. There are neighbors too. So that's super important. Now, as you know, we are a work in progress. I am always open to please let us know how we can be a better podcast. Also, if you would like to be a guest, or if you would like to suggest a guest, don't hesitate to reach out to us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. I've been having some pretty good reach outs, and know that in 2024 we're going to have some pretty cool guests coming along here. I'm pretty excited about it. All right. And then, Kosh listeners, I got my ask. It's a simple ask, and that is, while you are listening to this podcast, hit the subscribe button. Yes, hit the subscribe button, and also leave us a review. What that does is that helps our analytics. And what does analytics do? Analytics helps this podcast, this positive podcast of our community, get in front of more eyes and in more ears, so more people can understand and learn about the work that we are doing here at the Kosh. All right, then. Now we're on to the real part of the show where it gets all real. You know what that is? Let me help you out now. It is shout out time. All right, Sam, who you shouting out?
All right, I just got to shout out, again, I shouted out Lakeisha Hayes already. Also want to shout out Dr. Davis, just a good friend and mentor of mine, the superintendent of the school district. Also want to shout out my guy, Director Miller, Anthony Miller. I know you've had him on the show already, but just been a great friend and a great brother to me as I've joined the Oshkosh community. Jill Pascarella, again, just a good friend of mine who's embraced me, taken me in. Those are my shout outs for now. Julie Conrad and the entire crew of people that I work with. I just have an amazing team that I have the pleasure of serving with. So I just want to shout out the Oshkosh Area School District Administration, all of our teachers, our leaders, our support staff, paraprofessionals. Just thank you for allowing me to serve and lead you in the district. And then all our community partners who join with us in the work, hold us accountable to the things that we say we are pursuing. And shout out to you, Timber, for the work that you're doing to get good stories and good information out there. So
I appreciate that. And just so you know, if you haven't listened to the Keisha Hayes episode, you need to.
Okay.
All right. She is my most listened to episode. And then Dr. Davis, he was this year's most listened to episode.
Okay.
So there's fire out there.
That's fire. Okay.
Okay. So shout out time. I just want to send a shout out to, I've got a long list of shout outs, so I'm going to try to cruise through. Okay. First shout out goes to Sturgeon Spirits. I know I shout them out often, but I held my 50th birthday party there and they, oh my God, that was fire. So shout out to them for hosting it. Shout out to Diablo's Tacos for feeding all my guests these amazing, authentic tacos. And then lastly, for everybody who took time, their valuable time to come in and wish me a happy birthday, whether online or in person, and just share the moment with me. Share this milestone moment with me, because 50 is big for me. I wasn't sure I was going to make it to 50, but I'm here now. So, thank you for doing that. I can't tell you how much it meant for the faces I sent. I want to send a particular shout out to my aunties. My aunties rolled up from the mill along with my cousin Jazz. And just when I saw them run, they didn't tell me they was coming. They just rolled in. And when I saw them, that's different, because that's love. And so I want to thank them so much for making the trek up and surprising me on my birthday. Want to send a shout out to... and my sister. I better tell her, too, because she's going to be mad if I don't mention it. So big shout out to my sister for rolling up, too. Want to send a shout out to Naomi Delgado over at Lawrence. Want to send a shout out to Kristen over at POP, People of Progression. These are just some people I ran into this week and did some work with. I want to send a shout out to Katie Olson over at Esther. And I want to send a shout out to Pa and Jonathan over at Hmong American Partnership. Ooh, let me give a shout out to my man Tarman, who had his swearing in ceremony recently as the officially, not the interim anymore, officially new chief of police for UW Oshkosh. My man, you already know, bro. For sure. Send a shout out to Hope Schaefer at Girls on the Run. I want to send a shout out to the people that performed the Nutcracker. I went to the Nutcracker. Now, I've never seen the Nutcracker on any level. I've never watched it, never seen it. The only thing I know is I've heard the music, right? But I got to go to the Grand and go see the Nutcracker. It was blown away. What a fantastic show. Want to send a shout out, particularly, I was sitting in Sturgeon Spirits the other day, and my man Quentin rolled up on me and was like, hey, man, I love these episodes, and I didn't even know he was listening, so thank you for letting me know. And I get that. I love when people surprise me as listeners. I want to send a shout out to my future in-laws, the Runyons, who've been rolling in and came to the birthday party. They be trekking it up here to the Kosh. I appreciate y'all so much, because it's only a hop, skip, and a jump before we are family here. And last, but by far not least, shout out to all the college graduates. This was graduation weekend. This was commencement weekend. That is such a milestone for so many. And I just want to make sure that we let you know here at the Kosh, we see you. Congratulations. Now go out here and change the world, because that's what you did this for in the first place. Just keeping it real. All right. Now, Sam, the very last thing. This is the last thing you got to do, and you got choices. There's 3 choices in there. A, B, and C. So option A. Oh, yeah, don't even try to read it, because it ain't on the paper. It ain't on the paper. Yeah, it ain't on the paper. All right. Option A.
I'm trying to get my voice back.
Oh, all right. I'm going to give you a second here. All right. Option A is share some words of wisdom with the Kosh listeners. Option B is tell us, what would yourself today tell your 13-year-old self? Option C is, like any good multiple choice, all of the above. You can do both if you choose to. All right, how we getting down?
All right, I'm going to go with, I can't believe I lost my voice. I'm going to go with words of wisdom. And that would be, as I talked about earlier, just the, life is so unpredictable. And we don't know how much time we have. And so I think being able to experience the things that we maybe have put off, thinking that we have more time to do it, forgiving the people who maybe we've had an ought with or some transgressions with, and thinking that we, have forever to make that right. Building relationships with people who maybe you've wanted to reach out to and connect with. I would say time is of the essence, and really leaning into all of those things that we might put off, or we're waiting for some, right set of circumstances to do that. Really to just make the moment and lean into it, because we don't have forever. So I would say that's exactly what I would have told my 13-year-old self as well. I was a major procrastinator for most of my life. And not just procrastinating around tasks that I needed to complete, but also just procrastinating around conversations I knew I needed to have, or experiences that there are to enjoy. So make the most of the time we have. I would just say that I would part with that.
All right. Hey, thanks for being on. I can't say I appreciate it. What'd you think?
Oh, yeah, this is great. I love it. Thanks for having me.
All right. The Kosh.